Hi everyone! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And I thought I'd do a video outside with a kind of like a Christmas tree behind me. They're called pine trees, I think. I'm not even an expert on this stuff. So it gives you a feel for Canada, but also, the blooming sun outside with like the flowers and the wildflowers and the yellow. So that gives you a feel for summer in Canada, which is very short, but very loved. So in this one, I wanted to speak to you guys about love. As you guys know, I'm writing a book. I wrote a book and I'm editing a book on self-love. And of course, I've done a video on how I went through a bunch of imposter syndrome on the subject of love, thinking, what? You're gonna write a book about self-love? You, this person here, what do you know about self-love, right? And so of course my inner critic was like piping up and talking and not happy at all, and which made me unhappy as well, because as soon as my inner critic gets unhappy, I get unhappy because it keeps on piping up and talking and never rests and doesn't allow me to breathe even at points. But of course, I shut it up and I wrote the book. It might not be the best book on self-love out there, but it's my book and it's about my experiences and what I thought was important about self-love. But one of the things that kept on coming up for me as I was writing the book was my love for my family, and how sometimes I noticed that in life in general, self-love sometimes comes in conflict with love for other people. And perhaps it's just an idea that's in my head, and I have this misconception where I feel like if I'm going to take care of myself, sometimes it means that I can't or I won't be able to take care of other people around me. And so of course I started looking into love for others as well, because if there is self-love, there has to be love for others as well. I think it kind of goes well together. As soon as I started loving myself properly, I was able to give love to others properly as well, because I had enough to give. I had my banks were full. My battery was charged. And because my battery was charged, I had the energy and the motivation and the compulsion to help other people as well and to give love to other people. When my battery was low or was depleted, which was in a lot of cases very common for me, I wasn't able to give to other people, of course. And so as I said, I started looking into love because that's what I do as a human being on this planet, as an INFJ, whatever label you want to give me. I have this tendency to kind of go down rabbit holes. And once I find something that is fascinating to me, something that intrigues me, something that makes me go, oh my God, this is so fascinating, I just want to learn everything about it. That happens quite often. When I get into this mode, as I've said, I just kind of go down this rabbit hole. So thankfully for the internet, there's a possibility of having a lot of discussion, a lot of interaction with other people. Also, you can read a lot of blog posts, you can read a lot of books on the subject matter. There's a lot of information on the internet of whatever subject you want to become an expert on, or a semi-expert. And so I started looking into love as one of my new obsessions. One of many. And I realized that, of course, there's the 5 love languages, which is a very important tenet of love, I think, that a lot of people miss. Because for me, one of my love languages is quality time. But for my family, one of my family members, my mother, her love language is acts of service. And so of course, without realizing that in my head, I would do things where I would spend time with her, which was fine, she was happy about that, but then I wouldn't wash the dishes at night. And in her mind, even though I might have spent 2 or 3 hours sitting with her having a conversation, she didn't feel like I displayed love to her because I left the dirty dishes in the sink. And so of course, I started realizing that little by little, a little too late perhaps. I'm already in my 30s, I should know better. But I realized that it's acts of service for her. So I started doing things for her in order to show love. And I've noticed that it's not just acts of service. I think that love in general has this connotation where it's not enough that you say the words. It's not enough that you use the LOVE, love language, you say the words, and then that's it, you're done, right? I mean, I've noticed that this happens a lot, has happened a lot to me, where I've been in love with someone or in lust, and the person tells me that they love me, but their actions denote that they don't, right? And so I'm getting my heart broken there, because, you know, I'm like, oh my God, this person loves me, but they don't actually really show me that they love me. They don't spend any time with me. They don't message me back when I ask them to message me back, or like they never message me at all. And I'm just sitting there waiting for their call, thinking that we're gonna meet up, but we never do, because he ends up going out with his friends. And so, of course, the action part was missing in that paradigm, in that equation. But for me, I was looking at the words that he was saying, uttering, speaking, that said that he loved me, and I took it as gospel and I ran with it, because obviously I was trying to delude myself into believing that he loved me. But more than that, I think I forget often that love is not only about the words that you speak, because words are obviously very easy, right? Especially actually nowadays, I feel like words have no meaning anymore, really. In fact, I would rather a person never say they love me. Well, not never, but not often. But they do things that show me that they love me, right? So I think actions are becoming more and more important nowadays, because of the fact that the meaning of the word love is just losing all meaning and purpose. In general, language is losing all meaning and purpose, not only because it's becoming more shorter, like emoticons and things like that, but also because people don't really mean what they say. Their words don't hold honor anymore or hold power anymore. And people just blurt things out without thinking about them. Whereas words are powerful, and they are a sort of magic. They have magic in them. They're like spells. You just don't blurt out the spell ridiculous or whatever it might be from Harry Potter without thinking about it, right? You have to actually think about it. You have to make sure that you're in the right space, the right mind, and that you want that action to take place. You want that spell to work. You just don't randomly blurt it out when you're sitting at a dinner table unless you actually want it to do something. The same thing with words. I've done many videos on this where I say over and over again that words have power. Now, I've said this in many different connotations, but in this regard, it's that words have power, but in a lot of cases, in a lot of people's cases, they don't actually care about that power, and they use it meaninglessly. As I get more and more into this kind of idea that words have power, mostly very little do I pay attention to what a person is saying. Of course, I pay more attention to their body language and the way they say it, but more importantly, I'll pay attention to their actions behind the words. And a very simple example of this that I've spoken about many times before is that I actually don't believe anyone that they're going to do something until they actually do it. And this might be a very negative way of looking at the world, but I've noticed that many people, 99.9% of the population that I'm surrounded by, at least the people around me, when they say they're going to do something, they don't. And it might be maybe just the people I'm around. Obviously not my family or anything like that, but a lot of my friends and a lot of acquaintances, if I really need something done, I have to make sure that I remind them over and over again, did you do that? And they're like, well, I was going to, and excuses galore. But in general, I found that words are literally meaningless, and promises are absolutely breakable and are broken all the time. It's not coming from a place of bitterness or cynicism, I don't think, because I accept it. I'm like, all right, cool. Most people are not going to keep their promises. All right, great. I can work with that. And so that's where I come in from, where I'm like, all right, people are not going to keep their promises. They don't mean what they say. And I need to take that into account with everything that I do. So what's going to matter most to me, at least as a person here on this planet, is actions. And I think, as I said, the plane's pretty loud right now, so I'm going to give it a second. And as I said earlier, love is not just about the words, but it's about the actions that you take to prove that you love someone, right? So a husband can say very easily that he loves his wife, but what does he do when she's, curled up in pain with her period or cramps or whatever it might be? What does he do in order to help her out? Does he actually go out and buy something that she craves, like chocolate or chips? Or does he give her or get her a hot water bottle? Like, does he heat up the water and get her a hot water bottle? Or does he, sit with her and listen to her venting and crying and moaning and bitching, right? What does he actually do when that happens? Or does he run away and goes and watches sports with his friends? So again, it's not, words might be meaningless, and perhaps you are aware of that as well, and you don't take anyone's word as gospel anymore like I used to. But actions are more important. And this is not to say that we're going to be looking around and making sure that everyone does what they say, because they won't, and that's not our priority or our responsibility. But to say that we're here to make sure that we do that ourselves, right? And so in my head, I'm like, all right, so love equals actions. Am I showing my love to other people by my actions? And when I asked that question to myself, in a lot of cases I wasn't, which is great because it was perfect. It was the impetus that I needed, the kick in the butt that I needed in order to realize, oh, right, I'm not doing it. I'm saying that I love them, but I'm not actually doing the actions behind it. Playing again. We're right in the flight path, so it's kind of crazy how many planes are actually still coming despite the pandemic. So in general, I wanted to do this video not as like, you must do this, because really I'm not doing it. So I'm learning myself that love equals actions and not words. And so I'm trying every day to be like, all right, what kind of action can I take today in order to show my love to my family? Usually it's just very simple, I'll just sit with them and I'll talk to them, ask them how their day went, or I'll cut some fruit for them, or I will wash the dishes, or I'll take out the garbage, or I'll cook something for them, things like that. It's very simple, actually very easy, and they feel gratified. They feel extremely happy, and I feel happy in return, right? And so of course the love goes around. What you give comes around to you 10 times, 100 times over. So this video is already very long. I don't know how I managed to speak about love for that long. If you have questions about this, message me or comment below and I shall do a follow-up. But I'd love to hear your idea or thoughts about love and actions. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. Again, thank you so much for your support, and I shall see you the next time around. Bye for now.